Theo eyed his new surroundings curiously, noting the piles of unused tiles and pipes. Across what little floor existed, there was a sharp drop from which a blinding light and tremendous heat emanated. Beside this abyss sat... that bloody robot. Theo firmly averted his eyes from the robot and simply pretended that it did not exist. Theo focused on the path ahead, choosing to politely ignore the annoyance in the room. A shifting wall of energy was barring his progress. Perhaps turning off that strange machine would help. With the barrier successfully disabled, Theo was happy to move on and leave that robotic liability behind. Surely the killer couldn't be too far now. Entering another area with limited flooring, Theo wondered why all of these rooms seemed so unfinished. Maybe the... It was starting to look like Theo might have a tail. No pun intended. Oh, apparently Theo's new friend had some value after all. Caution was probably wise, but there seemed to be no other way. As the oblivious robot scampered over an obvious switch, Theo braced for the consequences. When none presented themselves, he decided to stay on alert. There was no way he was safe while that machine was bumping into things. Contemplating the state of the room ahead, Theo reluctantly accepted that perhaps the robot's help might be necessary. As he threw a disparaging glance at the machine, Theo noticed some worn writing on his chassis. D4Z. As the loud noise reverberated behind Theo, he wondered just what he had done to be cursed with a trundling mishap. Though his companion seemed to be some kind of cosmic setback magnet, Theo had to admit, Daz was endearing, aggravatingly so. Overwhelmed by the heat pouring from the broken machine, Theo mourned the obvious failings of engineering safety standards. How on earth was he going to reach the elevators beyond this mess? Theo flinched when he heard the now familiar sound of Daz activating another switch. He cautiously opened his eyes and was pleasantly surprised to see something positive had finally come from this robot's help. As Daz hurried into the elevator, Theo found himself growing slightly less aggrieved. Perhaps having the little fellow around might even be useful. As the elevator rattled to a screeching halt, Theo found himself suspended on what could kindly be referred to as a rough-and-ready bridge, or not so kindly as an invitation to a long plummet to certain death. Theo watched as Daz leapt gracefully down onto the scaffold to aid in his journey across. Theo stared at him, shaming Daz with his steely gaze. Hopefully, he hadn't broken anything important. Considering the barrier ahead of him, Theo wondered if Daz could assist him once more, with the right guidance, of course. Theo took a moment to brace himself for a potential failure on Daz's part. Theo found he quite enjoyed the company of the small robot, when he wasn't actively annoying him. The unlikely companions set off into the cave, ignoring the tribal warnings decorating the entrance. They were probably just for show anyway. The large chamber was filled with the clanks and groans of tortured metal, punctuated by the steady drip of stagnant oil. Faced with a seemingly impassable split in the floor, Theo stopped to think of a way around. Wait, did he just... disregarding the danger, Daz bravely leapt into the chasm to aid his feline companion. Surely he'd be fine. Oh, no.